Over there, you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh well, I was looking at the stocking arm.
There was. You guys were holding
Was that?
hands.
Were you a
You
team?
guys holding
Were you a team?
arms? You have
Okay.
a dual question.
Well, I know that you voiced Knuckles for many years, so I'm curious, what is your opinion on Knuckles' redesign and Sonic Boom?
Oh my God!
I have a sense that I shouldn't like it. I honestly, I'm not familiar with what they've done with Knuckles recently, so, but I'm sorry that their redesign is apparently not popular.
You mean they changed something that was working and they made it bad?
That never happened.
We got another Yugi back there,
Yes,
I think we should acknowledge.
What's your least favorite card?
It's got the ones that are really hard to pronounce, the ones that are really,
goodness,
yeah, that just have no flow.
You know what my least? I never played it, but because I had to direct it all the time, I hated Harpies, ladies, sisters, ladies, sisters. We had such arguments with the creators of that because they couldn't decide whether it was Harpies, lady, sisters, Harpies, ladies, sister, or like
Harpy lady.
Is it like is she a Harpy lady who has sisters, or is it like Harpy? And we must have dubbed it like 10 different ways in the first episode, and I'm like, there's no way that they're all consistent when this goes on the air. So I hate that card.
I don't think did I ever do that?
No.
It's in your kindness reloaded bit.
Yes,
Oh.
exactly. You mean changing something that worked well?
I have to say I was never very fond of the name Burfomet. It just sounds it sounds like something that you do after a meal that you don't want people to hear.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good question. Yes.
Yes. Our friend over there who traveled, yes. You, sir.
If there was like one anime world that you could like live in, what would it be?
Always.
Which one would it be?
One anime world. Has to be anime.
Yes.
Like any of the animes that you've seen or
Right. Right.
Battle of the Planets, G-Force. I would be part of G-Force. I would be Mark from G-Force.
I'd be Jason.
See, we're geeks, dude. Oh, right in the front.
Oh, yeah, okay.
what's the last good movie you guys watched?
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, I just flew back from Australia and I watched about 17 movies on the plane.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I watched. There were so many movies. Oh my goodness.
While he's thinking of that answer.
I just watched Saving Mr. Banks. I was really moved by that movie. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I was like, this is not what I want to be watching. And I was like, I'm like crying on the plane. It was really a good movie. Yeah, so there you go.
What I particularly love about the Winter Soldier movie is, I mean, it's great, action, fun, and all that. Love the characters. I'm a comic geek guy, and yes, I'm not Marvel over DC. I love them all. But I really thought it was interesting, clever, and poignant, perhaps, that a movie and a story which is thematically about distrust, that our hero's defining heroic action was bestowing trust. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So, and again, that's an example of strength without being overbearing and violent. Yeah. Strength of character.
Good question.
Oh, we better answer the question. We got a bad diagnosis. Yes, doctor?
First off, I just want to say thank you for voicing Yugi, because basically he was like my little imaginary friend was like the 7 or 8.
You're very welcome. Spider-Man was mine. You're very welcome. Spider-Man! There you are! I didn't know you were going to be here. I'm sorry. Wait. Let's have her finish the question.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you feel when Yu-Gi-Oh finally ended? I was pretty sad.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think Dan touched on that before. I mean, it seemed to end the right way, right?
It was sad.
to not be working too on that show anymore.
Yeah.
You know, but
But yeah, I mean, it was great. It was sad. Peter. But you know, it was sad and emotional. You know, but I think better that than to drag it out and feel like, oh, this is really just not.
okay, so my memory of Spider-Man, and I will show you the picture. My parents saw that they were doing some promotional thing at some store across town and in Brooklyn, and they were like, Spider-Man's going to be making an appearance. Do you want to go? And I think I might have been 10 years old, and so I have a picture of me sitting on Spider-Man's lap, just going, this guy's freaky. And I have the Polaroid of that shot, and it's like you can even like look. He's got his leg around me. I'm like, Mom, what were you? Did you not understand? He was like a child molester. So, Spidey, you can go back to your chair now. Thank you.
Let's get a selfie. Let's get a selfie. All right.
Obviously, your imaginary friend was not that guy.
Yeah, he was imaginary.
All right.
Yeah.
One last question from me,
Sure.
and this is for Eric.
Oh.
If you had to write a country song about a situation from Yu-Gi-Oh, what would that sound like? Or
I've got friends in low places.
Yugi is short. That's true.
Good question.
He's short. With the green hair, the miss.
I know everybody else has said this, and just want to say this, I love you, thank you.
Oh my God! Thank you. That is so touching. Thank you so much. I love me too. That's very. Thank you.
What do you feel about the other characters? What do you think that are funny or stupid or
Wait, there are other characters?
It's really like my lines, other stuff. My lines. No, but you know, it's an interesting question about the other characters because both a show like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and we're talking about the formula, and this is why I was making the joke about what doesn't work or what does work, and don't change what does work. What's great about those types of shows are there is a character that we all can relate to. It might not be the hero or exactly. You might find Joey to be your hero or whatever it may be that you connect to. And if there is no one you can connect to, then it doesn't matter. The show disappears. People stop watching it. So yeah, you want to hate Kaiba and like Joey, or you want to whatever it may be. You connect to someone. And so I think all of the characters on, except for Weevil, I think all of the If I had to direct Weevil battling one more time, I think I would stab my own eye. But anyway, yeah, I like them all. I mean, you know.
Yeah, and I always liked Joey and the relationship of Joey and Mai, and because I'm a pervert. Yes. But what's interesting when you watch the Japanese, Joey is not portrayed at all the way that he was interpreted in the American English one. He's portrayed more as your conventional hero guy. You know, he was sort of the tough guy, right? I always thought Kaiba was very, very cool, and I'm not just saying that because Eric is sitting next to me.
Sure.
Yeah, and Bakura, a very interesting character there. Yeah. So, but there, again, there's just lots of good characters. Yeah, and the relevant ones are the ones that stick with you.
Yeah.
The woman with the very peculiar hat.
I'm a guy.
Oh, you're sort of dressed as a woman. You're
First of all, Johnny and Yugi and Kaiba were all my absolute heroes when I was a kid. I mean,
That's awesome.
they are my childhood.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And, can I get you to say, believe in the heart of the cards in Johnny's voice?
Sure, of course.
And can I record it?
Okay, sure. And that's totally cool. I'm very happy to do this. Also, I will do similar sorts of things later when I'm doing my signing stuff, so don't hesitate to ask, okay? Okay, are you, what's your name?
BJ.
BJ? You're rolling? BJ, you must always believe in the heart of the cards. Okay.
somebody?
Okay, yes, Pt.2.
Okay, I have a very important question. I've been going around the convention this weekend taking selfies with cute people. Can I come up and take a selfie with you guys?
Sure.
You know yourself, you have to take a lot of selfies.
I'll step aside as you and Eric have a photo. That's what I was looking for, thanks.
Yeah, they're not.
You're just gonna embarrass me at the autograph ceremony, aren't you?
We are.
Not you, but you're fine.
All right. Okay, so who's got some questions for us? Way in the back,
Yeah.
with the cap on. Yeah. No, yeah, you've got a cap on.
I just want to say that you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Since I was a little kid, it's all important to you.
Oh, thank you.
It wasn't really sad how Yu-Gi-Oh ended and all. How did you feel to voice Yugi in the Full Solar games?
Oh,
Oh,
you know, you just embrace the character, you know, and actually, I think maybe similar to what you're asking, when we did Bonds Beyond Time, it was, yeah, I hadn't done those characters in a while, and it was like reacquainting with old friends, almost, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I remember kind of being this way and doing this thing. So yeah, it was great to return to, and I have thought, like, okay, what, you know, could they, if they were going to do another story with Yugi and Yami, what would be something that would be worth telling, and not just milking the franchise and whatever. And I mean, and I had some ideas, and I know that, you know, there is some thinking by people other than me about trying to make something like that happen. And if that were to happen, I just hope it's a story worth telling, right? You know, yeah. But it's always great. I mean, I have affection for those characters too. You know, in a sense, we depersonalize ourselves from our work. You know, it's something that we do and we complete. You know, so yeah, I like those guys too. Thank you. Yes, you with the glasses. Yes, you.
How do you feel about the abridged version of Yu-Gi-Oh?
I believe Eric is not going to respond verbally. Yeah, I've seen episodes, and obviously he has you know, tremendous wit, and he's put a lot of work into it, and you know it's humorous, and and the fans understand that he's doing it with love, and as do I. So I mean, I think it's funny. I don't watch all those episodes, you know? But it also might surprise you. Like, I don't watch a lot of regular Yu-Gi-Oh too, you know. I will also say, I was chatting, I believe, with his wife about this last night. It's not the hardest show to make fun of. It's not really hard, you know. There are certain things in the show that are easy targets. So, but that doesn't diminish his talent. I'd be curious to see him do something other than that, you know. You sir.
So Eric, what is the proper way to use a frying pan?
As a drying pan. Why that line has become my catchphrase as Brock, I have no idea. It is pretty rad.
You sir.
All right. Could I get you to do the Team Rocket motto?
No.
Now,
Let me explain something to you. I don't memorize any of my lines, except that one.
Because fans reflected back at you.
Because I have a script in front of me, and the motto changed every time. We re-recorded it every time, and you know what? You probably know it better than I do. I'm not one of those guys who go, oh yeah, remember that movie, and you know every quote from it? No, that's not me. You know, that's not me. So I don't know it. You probably could do it better than me.
And actually, what may not be obvious to you guys is, you know, I was talking a little bit earlier about, like, this is our job, and we show up and we do our work and we do our hardest, and we really want it to be good, and then we leave it and we go. And when I encounter actors that celebrate and talk about their own work and quote themselves in their work, they're kind of considered jackasses.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of like narcissistic. Just get over yourself. You know, but it's not for lack of respect for the work that we've done.
Yeah. Someone's holding up 2 cards. That's kind of weird.
Okay, there we go. It's a
Oh,
throwdown.
swipe
It's a
around.
duel.
Yeah.
I got a question for Dan Green.
Okay.
How did you feel voicing Officer Trud in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D?
Trash fans, I would not have had that role if Eric hadn't decided on the day that we were first introduced to that character in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series to have me voice the part of a bully. You know, because I'm doing Yugi, I'm doing Yami, but fortunately I was permitted to gruff up my voice enough playing a bully that it was differentiated enough to pass. And in terms of what they did with Trudge, I thought it was interesting, and I thought we kind of he had more dimension, and that kind of voice, this kind of thing. It's fun to do. I don't know that he had tremendous relevance in the show, but it was fun, and I'm glad that they allowed me to participate in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise again, and as opposed to saying no. Dan Green can only be those characters, and we'll never let Dan Green play in that world again. So that was nice. So it was nice that they let me do that. Not that not everybody would, be cool with that. Yeah. You.
I love Pokemon and I love Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think my favorite that I actually just saw that you were in as well, because I knew Eric had done this, is Ultimate Muscle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
met people a couple of years ago, but I was in line and they were like naming somebody out, and I was like, you were Dick and Ultimate Muscle.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at me like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. No, Dick
Van
Van Dyke.
Dyke.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if I could get a recording of one of your signature moves.
I don't know any of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I just remember that Dick Van Dyke was.
Oddly named.
And I'll tell
For a
you,
kid show.
I must take 50% responsibility for that name, because when the show came down for production, we always have to clear the names of the characters, so there's no copyright problems. And there was already the Gazelle and Gazelle Man. And so we were like, oh, what are we gonna do? So I went and I looked up online all the different antelopes. And I found a Dick. And I said, this is perfect. So I came to the producer and I said, hey, how about Dick Van Dyke? No, actually I said Dick Van Dyke. And he said, if you're gonna call him Dick, let's call him Dick Van Dyke.
So half that dick is yours. Interesting. I never thought of you as a half-dick kind of guy.
Wait, what? This is not the over 18.
Sorry.
Yes, but I'm glad you like that show. And for anyone who has not seen at least the first 2 seasons of Ultimate Muscle, it is a very funny. You need to watch it.
It's so adolescent.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
It's so adolescent.
Yes, with the headphones on, darling.
Oh.
What was it like for you guys working on Slayers?
Oh, well, what Dan was saying before about scripts not being prepared.
Yeah, that's what that show was.
Yeah, there was a lot of ad-libbing going on in that, and actually that was my first recurring role playing Gowry.
And I think that was one of my first animes.
Yeah. And it was a great production team. It was fun to record with those guys. And I really liked that. I like the dynamic between Gowry and Lena, even though she's yelling at him all the time. And if you knew Lisa, that's probably what she does normally with me. But I liked their relationship, because it was love that wasn't like, they were not boyfriend and girlfriend. It was this friendship, this tight friendship between the two of them. And even though he was a bumbling knucklehead, he was very protective of her. And when the chips were down, he was truly still a great hero. So I liked playing him a lot.
Guy with the tie, you've been patient.
You said earlier that it's just a job for you. It feels like 20 moves to play fans. But I'm curious how good a friend the 2 of you are outside.
The two of us.
Yeah. Well, and also let me clarify. By just a job, my job is to do things where I get to explore meaningful things. You understand what I mean? So it's not just a job in terms of like mowing the lawn. So it is relevant, right? But not so much so that I think I should be celebrated for it, necessarily, right? I don't really know this guy. We've been friends a long time. One of the things that we were doing for years is gaming online.
Yep.
But I mean, I've been to Eric's house. I guess we don't like call each other and go out to lunch.
Right.
But you know, that we work together for so long, that we have mutual respect, we honestly like each other, and also we share friends in common, and just that whole life experience in common is incredibly bonding and relevant.
Yeah.
And last night we were catching up because we don't get to see each other for a while, and this was before the risque, right. And Eric said it just this morning. We could have just spent the whole night catching up.
Yeah, just the two of us just hanging out. And what's I got, I think I consider myself pretty lucky because I was directing, I got to actually work with each one of the actors, because as I said before, we pass each other in the halls when we're just dubbing.
Right.
But I got to spend hours and hours working with these people. And
Wayne.
then of course, you get Wayne Grayson and all of those guys and gals. And that's where you develop whether you're gonna be friends or not, because that's how you sort of meet them.
Right.
But we've worked on shows obviously for years, but we also, yeah, I mean, Dan and I are friends. I know that ruins the whole Yugi Kaiba thing, which just goes to show you that we might be semi-good actors. Right in the front.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for making Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually watchable in English.
Right.
I have trouble listening to some animes in English because I don't like the dubbing, but
Sure. Thank you.
both of y'all and everybody else, we've worked on that. But this is not necessarily attached to Yu-Gi-Oh! But to y'all's jobs and all.
Right.
What's a memorable experience for y'all? Just
Wow.
anyway.
Well,
Narrow it down however you
I've been fortunate to work on things that are good, and hopefully I haven't mucked up, my part in it. One of my most favorite experiences of acting was when I was doing theater, and right after I got out of school, I was understudying a play called Philadelphia, Here I Come. And I was on stage, and I was understudying the lead role. And this is a character who was on stage 90% of the time. I was portraying the inner mind of a main character. Foreshadowing? So there was a lot of dialogue and blocking and all those sorts of things, and everybody else on the stage was Irish, real Irish, and so I had to, have convincing Irish dialect. And I had to go on for Robert Sean Leonard was the guy who was the star, and I was understudying him. And I had to go on before the show officially opened. So I had one opportunity to run through the performance, actually on stage with the actors. But I did it, and it went over well, and that was a wonderful experience. It was on Broadway, and so that was a wonderful experience for any actor to have coming fresh out of school. So that's off the top of my head one. Everything else after that was downhill. I'm kidding.
Well, mine is not voice-over related. It's actually music related. My management at the time said to me, "Hey, we've got something we want to submit you for. Can you just record some stuff? It's just you and your guitar because we want to submit you for something." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And so I didn't have a studio at the time. I just went into my walk-in closet and I had a little cassette recorder and I recorded a couple of songs and I sent it in. And 2 weeks later they said, "Yeah, listen, Ringo listened to your tape and he wants you to open the All-Star Band tour." And I said, "Okay, that sounds cool," right? So I flew out to Seattle for the first show, and I hadn't met anybody on the tour yet. And I'm downstairs in my dressing room waiting for my sound check, and I'm listening to the All-Star Band rehearse or get sound check, and I'm like, wow, that sounds great. But I haven't even gone up there yet. And I hear them call my name. They're like, "Eric Stuart, please come upstairs, for sound check." And I go in. It's a beautiful theater. And my manager's standing in the way in the back of the room. It's just the two of us. And I play a song, a verse and a chorus. And I say, "So how did it sound?" And I hear, "Well, it sounds great. You got a great, powerful voice. I really like what you're doing."
Oh my God!
And I look over and it's Ringo. And he comes walking onto the side of the stage. And he comes up and he greets me and he welcomes me to the tour and we shake hands. And as we're parting, I punch him in the arm like I would Dan. I'd be like, "Yeah, it's great to be here." And as I'm walking away, I went, "I just punched a beetle. What's wrong with me?" So yeah, that was kind of surreal for me.
Awesome.
You've had your hand up for a long time.
You said earlier, you mentioned listening to the Japanese. Have you ever watched any animes like in the Japanese?
Oh, sure.
Or,
Sure. Actually, there's a lot of anime stuff that I've done where I've adapted it. Sometimes I'm also in the show. With Samurai Deeper Kyo, I didn't direct the first volume, but I adapted the first volume and the rest of the show. So yeah, I'm quite familiar with the original Japanese, and I have tremendous respect for what that is, and hopefully a good enough understanding of how to remain true to that, but also satisfy the expectations of American audiences and understand what doesn't work. Like there are a lot of reactions in Japanese, like, oh, it's like, okay, that's great, but that's not what people in America are going to understand. Even if we just did that directly, people are going to be like, what? So yeah, and it's a beautiful language. I do find it funny though that when I just say, yeah, I've dubbed a lot of stuff, they say, so do you speak Japanese? No, see, I'm dubbing it into English, which means I don't have to speak the Japanese. I'm translating it. Yeah.
This is a comment for Dan. So in 2004, I was 10 and I watched Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And I'd been watching Pokemon and stuff since I was 5 and 6. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first time that I had ever wondered about the voice actors that did the voices.
Sure.
I never really thought about it. And I was admittedly hopelessly in love with Yugi.
And not many people are.
I mean Yugi, not Yami, which is
right.
Not really the common thing, but.
Right. That's like making Luke instead of Han. What's your problem?
But I purposely looked on the credits one day and it said Yugi, Yami, Dan Green, and I was like, I don't know who Dan Green is, but I'm going to meet that guy.
Well, now you've done it.
And that was in 2004, and I've never seen you before, and so I'm having an experience 10 years later. I'm very excited.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That is so cool. What you said about it not being so interested or maybe even aware about the voices behind the animation reminds me of a story where it was within the first year, and I was visiting home, and one of my relatives had a son, 10 years old actually or so. And so he said, okay, well, let me get my son on the phone and you can do your Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. So we do that, and I'm on the cell phone, and I'm trying to have a conversation with this kid, and he just doesn't really say anything, hand the phone back to his dad, and apparently he told his father, Dad, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a cartoon character. That can't be the guy. So he was so young, he just thought like there were no actors, like those were just, yeah.
Well, there's definitely that age where
they don't get the
where I make sure not to do the voice for them in front of them because I don't want to destroy that. Like wait a second, that's not that character. Yeah. But good question.
I warped his mind.
We got a couple more minutes, so let's make them some good quick questions. We got one. Yep, one more.
Mind face. Of course he is. You're welcome. I guess that's a good way to close this year. Yeah. Well, do we want to close it with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll close with that. Do we want to take one more question before we do that? One more. Who hasn't been? Okay, you.
First of all, you guys are my childhood heroes.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question for Eric, actually.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Kaba's relationship with Mokuba?
I think
that's awesome.
I think that's the thing that grounds him of not being a complete jerk all the time. I mean, that's the thing is that you when you learn more about his character and you're like he's protective as an older brother, and also when you find out the relationship between Kaiba and Yugi as well, that those are the things that give him the good side. So yeah, I mean, people make fun of that whole thing about that dynamic, but you know what? That's like. Yeah, if I had a little brother, I'd probably be the same way, so I appreciate it. Yeah, good question.
I always thought that was cool.
Yeah.
It humanized.
Yep.
So you said you wanted Exodia to be someone. You used the name Yugi, but do you mean Pharaoh?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yami or Tim.
I summon Exodia! you so much. For all of you who have been so generous in sharing how meaningful the work that we did is to you. So much more to us.
Yeah.
And could Eric say, like, come forth from players?
Light come forth!
There you go!
All right. Remember that my band is playing 7 o'clock tonight in the main room, so come rock with the Eric Stuart Band, all right?
Also, Dan Green will be signing autographs 15 minutes from now in Embassy Suites, or the Embassy Suites restaurant area, the dining area. 15 minutes.